everyone. So we just did a lesson on polar coordinates, and this is just a quick recap of kind of the lecture stuff, just kind of notes for myself. So basically, I'm going to walk you through what polar coordinates are and how we convert between them and kind of some nuances. Okay, so polar coordinates is a type of coordinate system. Let me try to find it. I'm so sorry, guys. It's a coordinate system. So we have the Cartesian coordinates, for example, where point 1, 1, right? X equals 1, y equals 1. But then polar coordinates is simply a different representation of that. So then we can say it is r theta, and r theta represents how it's the length of it is r. So if you imagine this was r and this was theta, and basically, theta comes from the angle from the x-axis, and r is just the distance to origin. So it's just kind of the hypotenuse. And basically, if we wanted to express point 1, 1 as a polar coordinate, we would have to say it is 1 pi over 4. It just means the length of the thing is 1. It is not 1. That is my bad, guys. It is root 2. And it's root 2 because if you draw the triangle like this with this here, this would be 1 squared plus 1 squared, and the square root of that is root 2. So yeah, it's root 2 pi over 4. So sorry, guys. But another caveat is negative angles, or sorry, negative points. So first of all, if we had the point minus 1 pi over 4, basically what we do is we take, first of all, pi over 4, which is 45 degrees, pi over 4, right? And then we trace negative back from that. So we go in the other direction, it's negative 1 here, so this point here. Basically, that's how negative points work. And we can also say negative 1 pi over 4 is the same thing as 1 pi plus pi over 4. Because then you can just say 1, yeah, so it's not negative 1, you're not going backwards here. You can say it's 1, but then you're going the full circle around here. So that's another caveat. Remember, pi plus pi over 4. This just says in polar coordinates, there are multiple ways to express the same point. And another thing is, so minus r theta is equal to r and pi plus theta, right? That's what we just showed here. But there's also r theta is equal to r theta plus 2 pi. Because if you imagine, if here and then we plus 2 pi, we're going around the same point. So if this was pi plus pi over 4, and then we add another 2 pi, so that would be 2 pi plus pi plus, so that would be 3 pi, right? Then that would give us the same exact point. So yeah, if we were to, this is just kind of practice on plotting different points. So the only thing that was difficult really was kind of 3 minus 7 pi over 4. So let's add 2 pi to make it an easier number. I don't know what minus 7 pi over 4 is, but I added 2 pi. So 2 pi is simply equal to 8 pi over 4. And then you add that, that's pi over 4. So that's actually just 3 pi over 4. To convert between the two, we kind of want to use like a triangle kind of like this. And if we've done physics before, you would know that whatever the hypotenuse is, this angle here is, this length here is going to be equal to r cos theta. And this length here, which is equal to y, this is x, y would be equal to, r cos theta. So it's just simple as that. And this is just converting from xy to the polar coordinates. And a thing to keep in mind is that, so if we had a triangle, right, and we had theta, and we had y and x, and we wanted to find theta. Theta would be, so we know that tan theta would be equal to opposite over adjacent, so it's y over x. Then theta would be equal to arctan of y over x, right? But there's a caveat. When x is larger than when x is larger than 0, then the angle is equal to arctan y over x. If x is less than 0, then the angle would be arctan y over x plus pi. And I'll show you the reason why. So for example, if you had, let's say you had the point you had the point 1 and minus 1. This is x, right? And this is y. So the y is 1, and the x is minus 1. So it's a minus x, right? X is less than 1, so the angle would be this. Why is it like that? Okay, let's try to think about this. So if if theta, which we're looking for this, right? Theta is equal to arctan y over x as the equation specifies, and let's say it's not plus pi. What we have when we have arctan x over y over x remember the cast circle, all ships take cover. Here, sine is positive and cos is negative. So if you know that tan is equal to sine x over cos x, so if sine was negative right here, sorry, if cos was negative, or if sine or cos was negative, you'd be somewhere here, right? So this would give you a negative angle if this was theta and this was tan, right? This is the tan graph. And if we gave it this negative coordinate, because y over x is going to be like, let's say it's 10 over, because x is negative over negative 5, which is negative 2. So you plug it in, so it's looking for, oh, negative 2, right? Just whatever it is, it's looking for negative 2, and it's saying, okay, this angle, which is going to be like a negative. So let's say it's negative 60 degrees. It's not, but let's say it's negative 60 degrees. What you end up with is actually saying that this angle here, let's call this like theta, let's call this theta bad. We don't want this theta because we want a positive theta sometimes. So let's say we wanted theta bad. Theta bad is going to be equal to negative 60 degrees, which is fine because if you had a negative angle, as we've shown up here, right, a negative angle is okay because you're, if you had a negative angle, it's no different than, actually, we haven't talked about it before, but if we had a negative angle, right, we had a negative angle here, it's no different than just, it going to here, but in terms of positive. So let's say that we had, that's a bad example because that's a negative, but let's say that we had, we had a line like this. We had a line like this, and we can either get this angle, this would be theta positive. Let's call it 120 degrees, or we can also get it in terms of this angle, which is negative. So theta negative, which is equal to 360 minus 120, which is equal to 240. So this angle would be negative 240, negative 240 degrees. So you can get two different things in two different ones. So if x was negative, all we want is we want to get theta bad plus another pi, plus another 90 degrees. So this is, pi equals 180 degrees. So we plus another pi, and 180 plus minus 60 is going to be 120, right? And it's this top portion here. So that's the kind of idea. That's why when x is negative, we want a plus pi. And then we did some more practice. Generally, that's just the intro to polar coordinates. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching.